Got a heavy machine gun position to the south, 250 meters.
Index.
Today's small units have the least experienced soldiers that have to make the decisions the quickest. With no staff support, they've got to make them on the spot, and the consequence of a wrong decision are death or other strategic impacts in the country.
If a soldier or Marine makes a wrong decision in a stressful combat environment, it hurts the war effort, people get hurt, end up on CNN for the wrong reason.
Immersive training is important because it brings speed and agility to the training scenario when we used to have to go through a block, lock, step method, old time, take a while and over days and period of time. We can now see it in a 360 view, live it, and observe where we need to correct it, and then that allows everybody to have an input inside the training environment.
What this is designed to do is come in with a scenario that's matched to the intelligence that's coming out of theater. You model that for a training environment.
So you can train in the environment that you're going to go to.
This is the best example I've seen of the integration of live and virtual. All the benefits of live training are here because it is live. The benefits of virtual training, from the UAS to the sound to the role players to the weapons effects, those things are actually being integrated into live training.
Boeing pulled together a diverse team of talent to create I2TE.
Language and cultural training.
CSI Miami.
Pashto language instructor.
MC Hammer to Metallica.
Laser Shot Incorporated.
Michael Jackson.
World leader in holographic technologies.
Warner Brothers, Paramount, Showtime, Stars, USA.
Iowa State University in the Virtual Reality Application Center.
Military Raps.
Terminator 4.
Advantage Mole.
5 Super Bowls.
I2TE is conceived and designed to get the utmost from every minute of every rotation of every unit at every site.
We're looking to see if we can take some of the technologies we've used in aviation training, aviation simulation for a long time, and help our ground forces customers. Iowa State has helped us take VBS2 and enhance it. They put some software in there to make the virtual characters more realistic. They put the digital terrain that we wanted in there, and the soldiers can play the VBS2 Army game engine in this terrain.
What it enables us to do is develop the training tools before they come to this site. And it allows you to do that training almost 24/7 from any location in a distributed manner. Then when they get here, they hit the ground running.
Salam alaikum.
Wa alaikum assalam.
You can put the cultural expert into the game, and he can play multiple people virtually. The mission board is basically a touchscreen table to navigate through the 3D model of the training area, and it's got 3 different purposes we use it for. It can be used for mission planning. We also use it for exercise control, so they can tell where the soldiers are in the 3D model at all time, and that way they can trigger the sound effects, they can trigger the avatar behavior, the simulated pyro. This is a digital 3D holographic map. They use these in Iraq and Afghanistan, so they can draw on the map and use that for planning their missions. You're going to see a simulated UAV flight over the training area, and you're going to see virtual soldiers in there that are in fact representations of those live soldiers because they've got trackers on them.
We're trying to simulate that stressful combat environment to build that decision-making process.
Your behaviors in those first few seconds of getting shot at determine the difference between having a lot of casualties or having none.
In combat, I know that there are certain things that keep you distracted, such as like the sound of a helicopter going over. This lets you get used to it and know that, that's not something I should focus all of my attention on.
You hear different weapon systems shooting at you sound differently. You can tell the direction they're coming from.
We can provide directional cues through the audio system, so you can hear a mortar launch in the distance, and after an appropriate pause, you hear the impact of the mortar, and we couple that impact sound with the smoke plume and with the strobe. Soldiers are better prepared, they're stress inoculated.
The ambient noise, the shopkeepers, the Afghan police and everything that are hanging around, you really usually don't have the resources to create that kind of an immersive environment.
Being prepared for the acoustical stresses of combat and not being distracted by the sounds of combat is a very important takeaway from urban training in I2TE.
One of the really simple but cost-effective things we've done is made the role players in this environment, gave them quick change costumes. 12 different role players, but it's 3 people.
I'm playing 4 roles. One's a Afghan military police officer, a woman villager, a male villager, and then a Taliban combatant.
We brought some avatars that are in some of the windows out there, a lot cheaper than role players.
It provides something better than just a pop-up target. It'll know that, okay, I see a guy looking out a balcony window with a cell phone. That's something that I need to pay attention to. I remember training on that back at Fort Leonard Wood.
Instead of using paper targets, our company has developed a way to come in and do virtual targetry with avatars that move along screens, along walls.
There are completely safe special effects where a soldier in training can be literally on top of the effects without suffering injury.
A slew of sensors around the site that provide tracking of miniature tags that end up going inside the costumes of the soldiers. So now we have these live players walking around in the virtual environment.
Anything that moves out there, we've got tracked so that comes back into our virtual world so we can represent it as close as possible a real UAV. So as opposed to bringing in real UAV, real hardware equipment, we've just virtualized that.
Salam alaikum.
The My Language folks coach the role players. So when you see the interaction between the role players and the soldiers, it's authentic.
No.
People who are familiar with Pashto and Afghani customs and culture train not just the role players, but also train the soldiers. So when the platoon sergeant goes to interact with the town elder, he knows what to do and what not to do. We've got military wraps who covered the face of one of the buildings out there so it looks more realistic than just the cinder block buildings that are around it. All of the events are recorded, so when we use it in after-action review mode, we can play back, work on lessons learned.
It shows you, instead of somebody just saying you did this wrong, do it again, you can actually see what you did wrong and improve it yourself.
As we capture all of this, both in the virtual world and we catch them on camera, you start building that library and you have a lot of material to teach from. You can show folks what mistakes look like, you can show them what right looks like.
Generating this enhanced immersive environment will have leaders making better decisions, which keeps our soldiers alive and allows us to complete our mission in a more successful manner.
It's not the same monotonous training that you go through day in and day out, you know, because the soldier does get bored with that.
This is as realistic as it's going to get, other than actually being there and being in combat.
I think for small unit tactics, this is as good as I've seen.
A training simulation capability for dismounted soldiers that's on par with what we have in the aviation world. And who better to do that than Boeing? In I2TE, we created these capabilities so his first combat won't be his first fight.